Hey everybody, Joy here. It is Thursday, April 7. You know what, I think on my devotion this morning I said it was March. Oh, wouldn't be surprised what I said. April 7, 2022. We're going to talk about the Easter quilt today for those of you who care. You've seen the quilt before I even told you how I made it or how I came up with the idea. Because we had to leave early because Jerry's brother died, as you know. And thank you for all of those of you who went over to my other channel and watched my video about it. I had more views that day than I've ever had on that channel, so thank you. It wasn't about a devotion that day though, so I know a lot of you don't like that. So let's talk quilts. How did I come up with this idea? Well, at first, I remember I told you I'm wanting a quilt to hang up for every season. You know, first there was Thanksgiving, then there was Christmas, then there was Valentine's Day, and then Easter was coming. And so I had a quilt. I made the heart quilt for Valentine's. And I made the Christmas quilt, the trees, remember? New quilts, new heart quilt, new tree quilt. For Thanksgiving, I think I had the sewing machine quilt. I don't think I have a Thanksgiving quilt, do I? Well, I have an edited sitar quilt that's got a block for November in it. So maybe I had it up here. I probably had edited seasons quilt here, and maybe the sewing machine's in there. So anyway, Easter was coming, and I never had made an Easter quilt. I didn't want Easter bunnies or flowers or eggs or Easter baskets. I wanted something about the true meaning of Easter. In my opinion, everything on this channel is my opinion. My opinion and the Bible's opinion. Easter is about Resurrection Day. In fact, our church calls it Resurrection Day, and I call it Resurrection Day. So I wanted to make something about the resurrection. So I had in my mind, the first thing that I wanted to do was the open tomb with the stone rolled away. Well, I can't draw, and I thought, how could I quilt a tomb? Because there's no quilt patterns. There was no quilt pattern for this. And there's no quilt pattern for a tomb either. And so I have a subscription to a clip art channel called iClipArt. I think it's also called clipart.com. I think they joined each other. And so I went there to look for Easter pictures. And they had very, very few with crosses. Very few. They had very, very few, if any, with tombs, open tombs. I think I may have found some pictures just on Google or something of some tombs, of paintings of the open tomb. But my original plan was to have the tomb with the stone rolled away and he is risen on it. So then I thought, well, I can't do a tomb. I don't see anything here that I can copy or, you know, try to make a quilt out of. So then I decided to look at crosses. So I started looking at crosses. Well, I didn't like any of the crosses that I saw. They were just a plain old cross, and, you know, most of them were not very pretty, not a pretty background or anything. And I wasn't impressed with the crosses. But my idea was, well, I'll make a cross, and then I'll put the last words that Jesus said before he died, "It is finished." And so I wanted to do that. I wanted to do a cross that said, "It is finished" on it. But I was not able to make the letters for that. I tried and I tried and I tried. I think the Lord just didn't want it to say that. He didn't want it to say that because Easter's about resurrection, not the crucifixion. And so he wanted it to say that he is risen because I could not make "it is finished" work. Why? Because the letters, you can see how tall they are. And I cut this with my Scan and Cut. Well, the Scan and Cut will only cut, it's got a space that's 12 by 24, but it won't cut 24 inches. It will cut less than 24 and less than 12, or you'd be on the very, very edge and it would cut crooked. So I wasn't able to cut. It is finished. The F on it is finished on the font that I bought was real fancy with a big loop and another loop and some real pretty flourishes in it. I could not make it work. So decided to use where I got my idea from, and I'll show you where that is. I used to have a blog, B-L-O-G, which was something I typed every day. And I used to put a lot of pictures there. And I used to download pictures and then I'd change them. Like I'd change the hair from blonde to brown. Or I'd change the lipstick from pink to red. Or I'd change the little girls or the grown-ups or the whoever the character was, change their clothes to a different color. See what I'm saying? And so I have had a subscription to a clip art site for years and years. So I started to tell you, I went there and looked for crosses. Didn't find anything I liked. Actually, there's a whole bunch of just blank pictures. And when you look up crosses, it's just blank, 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 blank. What the heck? Why are these even in here? But I found this one. Here's the one I found. It is royalty free, not copyright, because I paid for it, okay? I paid for this. So I'm sure I can't sell it to anybody or, you know, tell anybody they can use it, or I don't know what all the rules are. But anyway, it's a clip art image that I paid for. So I decided, number one, you can see mine's the other way around. I decided that I would take this shape of the cross right here and I would make some kind of quilt pattern for this here. And then I wanted the letters to be big like that. I wasn't going to use these letters, but I ended up having to use them because I had to cut them in, like I had to cut this part of the H, and then I had to cut this part of the H. You see, I had to cut part of the R, and then another part of the R, and then I had to put them together on the quilt. So it was quite difficult. The letters were way harder than the cross. It took me days and days and days to figure out how to get the letters big enough to put on this quilt. So I just happened to have, how to make the cross, how to make the cross. I just happened to have these brown fabrics. I had a, remember fall, and I made that fall quilt that I'm not done with yet. It's the half square triangles that I did with my friend Avondra. I don't have that done yet. Hopefully I'll have it done by next fall. I'm waiting for Jeffrey to teach me how to quilt it. I'm taking a class in October, so hopefully, you know, there it'll be fall again. Boy, it'll be good timing, won't it? So I had these, a layer cake with all these browns, and I had no idea how I was going to make the cross. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to make a whole bunch of half square triangles, and then I'm just going to get down on the floor and see if I can arrange them somehow. So that's what I did. I just sewed a whole bunch of half square triangles. Then I came in here on the floor and tried to make an arrangement. I also bought, I wanted a sky. I kind of wanted a sky with a great big sunburst behind it, because that's how most of the pictures look. There's a big sunburst behind it, you know, like Jesus was holy and he went to heaven, you know. Well, I knew I wasn't smart enough to do that. So I bought this. This is called Sky Blue. So I bought this from Missouri Star Quilt Company. I thought if it's called Sky Blue, it must be a sky. So I ordered 10 yards of this, just in case. 10 yards, it's a good thing I did. So I came in here and I just opened up the sky and laid it on the rug. Then I got down on the sky and I just started arranging my half square triangles. So the idea is they're supposed to be diagonal lines. See them? Diagonal, 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 diagonal. Some of them don't photograph as dark as they are when you're just looking at it. So that's the whoop-de-doo design I came up with. But I was happy with it. I thought it was really cool for a quilted cross. It's not perfect. You know, I didn't have every color of brown in the world. I only had certain colors. But I think it turned out really good considering it's an old rugged cross, right? Yes. So that's how it happened, and that's how I finished it. Oh, and the letters. Last time Jerry and I were in Louisville with our RV, you know, we're always going down there with the RV to get something fixed. I don't even remember what was wrong that time. But I went on our way to dinner one night, our way to somewhere one day. I said, how close are we to Plano? He said, we're actually really close. It was like 12 miles away. I said, could I go to the boutique store there? Because I knew I was going to make this quilt. And I actually bought some of these browns. It wasn't the layer cake browns, but I bought a couple of separate quarter yard. No, I actually had her cut fat quarters. But I found this there. I knew I wanted the letters to be bright blue and jump off the sky. So I bought a yard of this there. Thank God. Maybe I bought a yard and a half. I don't know. But I used every single bit of it except for this, making these letters on here. I put Steam-A-Seam 2 light on the back. Not the little strips, the full size. I put the Steam-A-Seam 2 iron-on fusible. Then I removed the paper and I put the fabric facing me, face up, facing me, and the sticky part on the back. You can put the sticky part, you don't have to put the paper now. You can just put it straight down. Somebody figured that out. Yay! So you pull the protective paper off, put it cut like a dream. No problem whatsoever. Cut those out. Then I ironed them on. And since this is a batik, batiks do not ravel like the quilting cottons do. The quilting cottons ravel really bad. The batiks don't. And I don't know if it's because they're put in boiling water so much for the process in making them. I know they're pretty totally shrunken because they go into a lot of hot water. But however batiks are made, they just don't ravel as much. You can see this cut piece here. I've been messing with this. There's one little piece right here. One little piece right there, and that's it. Then I quilted it with kind of a tight quilting pattern. And so the quilting pattern is sewn over all these letters really good. And if I notice in the future, 100 years from now or whatever, like I'm going to be here then, that it's starting to ravel, I'll just go in there and get some fray check, and I'll put some fray check on a little piece of plastic or a little piece of cardboard or something, and then I'll take a pin, a straight pin, and I'll just come in here and I'll just put a little fray check on the edge that's starting to ravel. It's not ever going to get washed. I'm going to fold it up after Easter. What's coming next? Spring. Spring and Easter, same thing. So I might get one of my colorful quilts down and call it spring and hang it up. But it's not going to be up very often. It's not going to be used like a blanket. So I don't expect any kind of problems with the letters raveling. Yay. Then I used the same blue and I just scraped out enough 2 1/4 inch pieces to do the border with out of that blue. I just happened to buy the exact right amount. So, the kitties. You want to know about the kitties? They're right there. They are right there. Hanging on one of those tall things that holds things. And it's wonderful. It turned out so cute. But I'm holding it. I'm not going to show it to anybody until Viv gets it. You know, I made it for my friend Viv because it's got all her kitties' names on it. It can't be for anybody else. It's got to be for her. She had 7 kitties, I think. Let me see if I can remember their names. There was Bricka and Trix and Zig and Satin. How many was that? There's Augie and there's Star. That's 6. And Jasper. 7 cats. So there are 7 books on there with titles, The Story Of. And there is a story of each one of the cats that Viv has now or that she has had in the past. So it can only be her quilt. A lot of people would love to have it. I've shown it to a couple people and my husband's just crazy about it. I was so shocked he came up here and saw it. He's like, oh, that is awesome. I just love that quilt. Are you keeping it? No, we cannot keep it. So you're going to be excited when you see the kitty quilt, but I can't show it to you. She had 2 showers for her daughter getting married. Her daughter's getting married early May. April, they're taking a vacation, and there's no time for her to be getting a quilt. So I've decided to send it to her when all that's over with and she's back home and she's bored and she doesn't have anything to do. And then I will send it to her then. And as soon as I send it to her, then I will show it to all of you. Or maybe Viv will. We'll see. Maybe both of us will. I wanted to thank you. Whoever told me, take your cutting mat and put it under your mattress in the RV. I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. But the cutting mat's still not big enough. I couldn't lay out a whole pattern on it. But another one of you said, cut the pieces out a little bit bigger, like 1 inch bigger. Then take your mat, go put it on that table where it will fit fine. Then you can cut out just the collar, just the sleeve, just the front, just the back with the rotary cutter. Great ideas, thank you. And then somebody else said, and I already thought of this and I've done it before, but it's just this was really fast and we didn't have time to be thinking too much of what we were going to do. And I really didn't expect to have time to sew anyway. But cut the pattern pieces out here, put them in a case, and take them already cut out, and then in the coach all I have to do is sew them together. Somebody said, what about the seam allowances? What did you do about those? Well, I took a pair of pinking shears to take care of that problem. However, I used a knit for what I made. It's not done yet, but it's almost done. Because a knit doesn't ravel. And so I just trimmed the seams down to 3/8 inch, so that wasn't a problem. But thank you for your suggestions, you RV experts. I appreciate every one of them. So, was there anything else I wanted to tell you? I told you about the kitties. I told you about the Easter quilt. Donnie, why are we back? Why are we back so soon? I talked about it on my devotion this morning. Everything isn't taken care of. Jerry's been working on it for a couple days since we got here. We went to Don's house and we picked up what we could pick up, paperwork-wise, and put it all in a bag and brought it here. And so Jerry has contacted his banks. He's contacted H&R Block about his tax return that was laying there on the table. He's contacted the electric company and whatever company we found there that he, there's a telephone bill and a electric bill, and I don't know if he had a natural gas bill, but we just picked up those kinds of things. And so Jerry's been making phone calls here for 2 days since we got home. But the service had to be delayed because several people in the family have COVID, 3 of them. And so we have to wait until these people are completely clear of that and they come back with a negative test. So that's why we're back so soon. We're getting ready to leave on our trip to Texas Motor Speedway week after next, 17th. This is what's today, the 7th, and we're leaving on the 17th, 10 days. So that'll be our next trip. Then after that, then there will be a memorial service for Jerry's brother, and so we will go back for that. And we want to go see my sister in Tulsa and my friend Philly in Tulsa, but I'll still be sewing either here or there or in the RV or quilting or something. Oh, I've been crocheting a lot. Oh my gosh, you'd be so proud of me. I'm getting so good at crocheting. I have 2 shawls almost completely done and 2 blankets that are done if I would just quit making them. So I'll show you that. I know some of you knit and crochet. I don't know how to knit. I'm just terrible. I tried to learn how to knit, and one of the needles, the loops kept falling off of it, and I just didn't know what to do after that, and I was completely lost. Crochet, I understand. The loops stay on the hook. It's just one hook. So I'm having fun learning how to crochet better. I asked my daughter, my daughter is a chick that knits in Edmond, Oklahoma, and she owns a store there called A Chick That Knits. Fabulous store. She got so many customers she can't even take care of all of them. I think she doesn't even open till like 1 o'clock some days, 11 o'clock. She just got so many customers, and she can't get all of her orders mailed out and everything done if she's open all the time because she's just got too much business. People just love her yarn. She dyes her own yarn, and it's just fabulous. So I have put out the word that your mother crochets now. Hint, hint, hint. And, you know, of course, Boo Bear's wife has the same kind of business, but she doesn't have a store like Tammy. She just does it from her house. But both of them make beautiful yarn. So that's my life. That's all I know about it right now. And yes, I know we're also afraid and upset and shell-shocked by this war going on in Ukraine. All I can tell you, my friends, is pray. Pray that God's will be done and that people are drawn back to goodness and truth, and they are drawn out of all the evil things going on in even our precious America. How did that get in here? Oh my goodness, you never know what's going to come out of this mouth. I love you guys. I'll let you go for now.